welcome back to a nice sweaty edition of Duckman Cycles VW Garage. It is just sweltering hot out here today, and I'm trying to do the best that I can to get a little bit of work done, and just in me pushing stuff around the garage, I mean, I worked up an incredible sweat, and I haven't even been out here that long. But we're back today with my 1956 Volkswagen Beetle, also known as Eleanor, and Eleanor was a horrible, horrible tragedy where she was sunk under 6 feet of seawater during Hurricane Ivan for about 2 days, and then left to sit outside for 10 years to rot with the salt spoo all over her. And you know what salt does to metal? Well, it rusted out pretty bad. So this car needed to be rebuilt, and I rebuilt it the best I could with whatever I had available to turn it into the chop-top Volkswagen Beetle that you guys all know and love today. So if anybody hates me out there because I cut up a 1956 classic Beetle, this is for you. Like I said, I did the best I could to get this car together from what I got. Unfortunately, this car really was struck with tragedy and just neglected. Just horribly neglected. So I did the best I could and put it back together. And I love this car. I mean, this is what I have always wanted since I was a little boy, and it's finally becoming reality. I'm finally middle-aged. It's not quite my midlife crisis yet. I know, I don't think this quite is, but there'll be something else. It'll probably be a much younger woman that'll get me in a lot of trouble and take a lot of my money. But that's, of course, another video for another day, and that'll be over on my other channel, VV the Duck VV. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, both here on this channel, over on VV the Duck VV, to see my life experiences, life stories, sometimes involving Volkswagen, sometimes involving motorcycles, stuff like that. Or maybe I'll tell you a tale of something that happened to me in the past. You know, it could be anything. It's also where I do my weekend shout-outs, and I think I'm going to be bringing those back. For anybody that notices significant mistakes in my videos, or in the video description, if I make a typo, that counts. You notice one of those, I give you a shout-out. So anyways, like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you also check out Ski to the Duck. We're going to jump back onto this pan chassis here, and I'm going to finish forming up the brake lines on it today. I'm going to install the brake light switches. And, well, I think it's going to be kind of a short video because there's not a whole lot that I have left to do here. And I also don't have a lot of time to do it. I've got to get over to a Volkswagen Club meeting tonight, and our car show is coming up on October 20th. And that's kind of a big deal for us here. Once a year we do have a big Volkswagen show, and I think our record-setting car numbers were like 130 cars or something, and that was just the entries. It was actually a lot more than that showed up for the show. So I need to get over to that meeting for sure. So in about the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to wrap up as much as I can. While I was cleaning up here in the garage, I figured I might as well just shoot a video and do something. So here we are. That's what we got. There's my brake switches. Here's my lines. I got to find my line bender. I don't know where the hell I put it. Oh, there it is. It's actually sitting right there. And let's see what we can do today. Alright, I've got some special Teflon tape, and you can use Teflon paste also. This is a kind that's impervious to solvents, and I've got my brake light switches here. Now these go into the little bungs that are on the bottom of the master cylinder here. You see the one that's sticking out on this side? There's actually one underneath it that goes up into it at a 45-degree angle. There's also one over here that goes into that side, also at a 45-degree angle. And I explained in another video, but why there are two switches, not just one, but two switches, is because there's one on each independent circuit. There's a front circuit and there's a rear circuit, and these actually operate independently. When you step on that brake pedal, the rear circuit activates first, and once it builds up enough pressure, then it pushes into the front. Usually what happens is this long brake line, that's the one you see right here that I haven't finished forming yet, it actually runs the full length of the car, all the way to the rear brakes. These tend to get leaky, and they almost always leak right here at the Napoleon's hat area, right where it goes through that little bulkhead. They tend to leak, they blow out, and you lose your rear brakes. But each circuit has its own brake light switch. Now, why you would do that is, of course, if one of the circuits fails, you still have brake lights. So, of course, you know, you're less likely to get rear-ended when your brake lights work. And, of course, keeps your car legal too. Well, everybody's got to make noise while I'm recording a video. But what this also does, and why it has 3 prongs instead of it just being one single throw, single pole switch, this is actually a double throw switch. And what it does is when your brakes are released, it closes the switch in the opposite direction. And if one of the circuits were to fail, with a little bit of wiring ingenuity, it lights up a light on your dashboard to tell you that one of the brake circuits have failed. Now, if you don't know that by just stepping on your brake pedal and noticing that the travel of it seems unusually different, or maybe perhaps that it takes a lot more force to make the brakes work, then you probably shouldn't be driving any car. I don't think you need a warning light on your dashboard. You just shouldn't be driving at all if you don't know the difference when your brake pedal has finally started to fail. Now, I gotta admit, I've dated women, I've had women that lived with me that do exactly that, and you guys are out there. Now, I hate to hate on women, but it's only been women in the past. Of course, I don't date guys, you know, and I can't say I've ever lived with another man as a roommate that wasn't at least mechanically adept enough to know when his car wasn't functioning properly. But in my case, I have always dealt with a female that brings something home that's not working right and hasn't been working right for months, and somehow she's still operating. I don't know how, but when I finally go to take this machinery out, it's totally screwed up, everything's messed up, and then you ask her, you know, what the hell's going on, and either you get a, well, I don't know, or it's been doing that since forever, and they don't tell you. You know, every single warning light is on the dashboard kind of thing, and they don't say anything. Anyways, like I said, if you don't know that your car ain't working right, then you don't need a warning light on the dashboard. I'm not going to use the warning light. I am going to put both of these in, however, so that way if one of my brake switches fails, and that actually is usually what happens, one of the switches will fail, I'll just take the wires off of one switch and flip it over to the other one. I'm not too worried about that at all. I know how to make my car work. I know when something is wrong with it, so I don't need that extra warning on a dual master cylinder Volkswagen. That's how that works, just in case you're curious. Let's go ahead and jump back on this thing and get something installed here. As far as the Teflon tape is concerned, you don't need a whole lot of turns of it. You just got to make sure that you don't cover up the little hole in the end of it, because if you cover the hole, fluid pressure may have difficulty getting into the switch to actuate it. And then what happens? Well, you get no brake lights. So anyway, there it is, neatly wrapped. Neatly wrapped. All right. We're going to screw this in, come up underneath. You know, I knew I should have done this with the brake lines not installed. Seems like just everything gets in your way. And we've got a second one here. And we're going to Teflon tape the same way. Now, if you never Teflon taped before, you want to turn in the same direction as the threads are. So that way what happens is as you tighten this thing, it doesn't cause the Teflon tape to bunch up or unravel off of the threads. And usually about 2 complete turns is enough for this. And as I said, you don't want to cover the end like that. You want to make sure that you push it back. Roll it back like a condom or a foreskin. I'm sure you can figure that out. Alright, let's put the other one right under here. Now, how I like to do these, you notice there's 3 connection pins on them. There's a left, a right, and what I call the top one. I don't like to put it on the bottom, because if you use the stock 3-pin connector, it is practically impossible to get it on when this middle pin is on the bottom. And these are one of the things that they don't tell you in the instruction manuals. This is just one of the things that you learn from experience. So you make sure that when you snug these things up, that you get this middle blade in the upward position. Because like I said, if it's on the bottom, you're going to have great difficulty getting that connector onto it because it's too close to the frame head. Now, as far as tightening these is concerned, you got to get an extra big-ass wrench, and I thought it was that one, but no, it's not. Alright, looks like we're using an adjustable on this. An adjustable spanner, and I get that once in a while. Sometimes in my videos I will consistently say spanner, and I like saying that because it makes people wonder where I'm from or why I would be using such a term, because it's not very commonplace here in America to hear the term spanner, whereas the rest of the world, I do believe, uses it. And you just keep turning these in. You don't need to turn them in all the way. You'll know when to stop. They'll get kind of snug, and because of the Teflon tape, they're not going to leak. Now with the body off, this is a whole lot easier to do, but normally with the body on, your gas tank would be right here. So it'd be really hard to get a wrench under there. You can try to hit it with a deep well socket and a swivel. You might be able to get on there and snug it up, and I forget what the size of the nut is on here. It's almost an inch, roughly 25 millimeters. I might be wrong, and it might be like a 24, but I'll put it on the bottom of the screen so you guys can see. Alright, see if I can get one more complete turn on this. I feel it's starting to snug up now. But I want that one blade in the upright position. There it is. And that's where we're going to stop. Now this little baggie here of gogies is the appropriate rubber gogie that goes right around this brake line, just like this. And then it's pushed up into the hole over here where it passes through the firewall. Now I don't really care for these too much. It's good in the way that it stops the brake line from vibrating against a Napoleon's hat. If that happens, it will wear a hole right through your brake line and it'll piss fluid out everywhere. And then of course one of your circuits will fail. You can, if you don't use this, use a piece of fuel line that you can split the length of, shove it in there so it goes all the way through the firewall, and silicone the crap out of this area. And the other reason why I'm telling you to silicone it is because this is a very common place for rust to occur on a Volkswagen. Any moisture that gets in through here will rot out the Napoleon's hat, or underneath it, which is even worse yet, the bottom side of the frame head will go. And over here where the two holes are, you may not even be able to see it, the two holes right here in the Napoleon's hat frame area, there we go. These two holes right over here, which is where the body bolts to, the underside of this will rot out, and then of course you don't have any corners to hold down the front end of the car. And the front end of the car only is held on by 6 bolts. It's 2 on each side right here, and then 2 on the axle beam up front. There's really not too much to holding the body on, so if you start losing these corners, you start to have problems with the car becoming real flimsy. So this is a good spot to prevent rust coming in, and it's just a good idea to seal this up as best you can, and you don't necessarily have to use these stupid little rubber gogies. I mean, they get the job done, and Volkswagen thought they were good, but I don't much care for them. Like I said, they are known for leaking. But if you do use them, keep an eye on them, because when they go bad, you want to replace them. I'm going to put them in here, and as one goes on each side, and then one will go in the rear of the car. And once you've got them in there, I'm going to silicone around them and make sure that they are properly sealed, so they'll last a very, very long time. Alright, let's finish bending this fuel line. Now what I like to do, and you don't have to do it my way, is I start forming the bend in the back first. Then I come up to the front, and I form the 90-degree hook on the end here. And then wherever the brake line manages to lay in between, you just pull the slack out of it. Kind of an easy process. There's really not all too much to that. And it's got about an extra 6 to 8 inches down there, but once you start forming all those bends, that will pull right out of it without a problem. Alright, let's go ahead and start forming some brake lines. Okay, it turned out to be a little long, so I had to put a little piggy tail in the end over there. And yes, it's supposed to run diagonal across there, because it's supposed to go around the brake pedal assembly and alongside the tunnel back up to here where it goes airborne and boop right into the back T. So the last thing that's left is to press the little pan clips right here into place, so that way it's held down to where it belongs. These are actually part of the body and not something you can remove. Okay, now the last thing is just to be sure that when I install this pedal cluster assembly, that it's going to clear the brake line. And I may have to tighten up the piggy tail a little bit, but that pretty much gets it. So anyways, yes, as simple as this video was, that's kind of cool. How high can we go? Well, as simple as this video was, please like, comment, and subscribe. Pluck that little dingle belly down there next to the subscribe button so you get updates every time I upload a new video. We'll get back onto this thing soon over on my channel, VV the Duck VV. We're going to have a lot of updates this weekend, including some car gatherings, particularly tech session. And I hope you guys get over there and watch them, subscribe, and enjoy the show. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.